So I've been telling you all morning about the stimulus package and conversations around the support if you have a small business. You've suffered, obviously, because of COVID-19. Can you still tap into that fund? Is it available? How many people are queuing for it? What's the possibility that you can also get it? How about the private schools? My guest is the executive director of the NBSSI, Kosi Yankey-Ayeh. She joins me with all the answers. It's going to be interactive, so you two can reach us later on in the conversation so you can ask your questions. Good morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Sure. So first of all, I want to understand how much you have for distribution and explain the different categories. So classification maybe?
Yeah, so you can, it could be categories or classifications, but I think what we have at the beginning of the program was 600 million Ghana cedis. And then the government in the mid-year budget review added another 150 million Ghana cedis. And the reason was because of the numbers that had applied and also understanding the needs of Ghanaians and the importance of supporting the micro, small and medium enterprises. So the government in its wisdom decided that it's really important for us to see how we can provide the needed support to be able to support these businesses at a time such as this. So if you remember in May when we launched, we looked at two categories, right, and designed the program where we had two interventions, really looking at the micro businesses and also looking at the SME angle of the business. These categories were designed because we had data, which is numbers on the people and the businesses and enterprises. And we realized that 90% of the Ghanaian MSME sector were really in the micro, small and medium enterprises. And they were also 90 or 80% were also micro, which is really a true reflection based on the numbers we also collated from those who had applied for the loans.
Okay.
And so, in really looking at the data and looking at how the Ghanaian MSME economy looked like, we designed two products, which was the ADOM Microsoft loans, which was looking at those who were at the really micro level who needed support, so upwards to 2,000 Ghana cedis. And then we designed the Enidaswo product, and the Enidaswo looked at those above 2,000 going towards 300,000 was the max, and the limit that we had set for ourselves. Because we did appreciate the needs of Ghanaians and really trying as much as possible to see how best we can support them at a time such as this.
Okay. So how many people did get some money?
To date, we have over 200,000 people who have applied, who have received some form of funding from NBSSI through the government stimulus package, the CAP business support. And there's more who we are looking to target and support as well to benefit from the intervention going forward.
We've been going around with the microphones. There are people who are still calling for support. Is there some more money?
Oh, yes, there's a lot of support. I think one of the things that I want to highlight is what we've learned through the process. And one of the most important things we've learned is the need for access to finance, to really formalize the Ghanaian economy, and really providing technical support to businesses. And so, most importantly for us as an institution, the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, is to see how best we can continue to support these businesses, continue to support the entrepreneurs and Ghanaians at large. And so as much as possible, we designed it where we're going to provide intervention support to beneficiaries. Some will get, some will not get. But as much as possible, that is the work we do. And besides this, the goal is for us to continuously facilitate access to finance. And prior to this, really within the past 3 years, prior to CAP business support, we had facilitated over 40 million Ghana cedis in access to finance. So this was not the first intervention. We had been doing it because our work is to support micro, small and medium enterprises. And even after and during this, we still have other support, and we'll be revealing one tomorrow as well to support MSMEs in Ghana.
Okay, I guess it's become even crucial because businesses that would not have come to you for support are coming because of the COVID-19.
I think it's two ways, right? So there are those who are coming because they've been hit by COVID. There are those we've always worked with who always knew we were there. And I think this COVID-19 pandemic has also brought NBSSI to the light for other people to know the work we do on the ground. So under normal circumstances, maybe we would not have been able to afford to do communications the way we want to, or be able to really target certain areas, because we have 185 district offices across the nation. And so in areas where we don't have district offices who didn't know much about the business advisory centers or NBSSI's work, they wouldn't have known. But now they've gotten the opportunity, and we've become more accessible, which was the vision and the goal of our institution.
On what basis would you reject somebody's application?
There are so many bases, right? One, if you give us falsified information. So there are situations where people would give you information of giving us even wrong, the TIN numbers. If there's genuine wrong and there's fraudulent wrong TIN numbers. You have situations where people apply with the same TIN number. The system was set up because we realized it was an emergency and a time for need. The goal was as much as possible to give people an opportunity. So at this moment, I think through all the engagements, my goal was to really hammer to people and say, this is the time for us to think about our brothers, our neighbors, and our sisters, and really look at it from the point where, what do I really need? So that there's something for other people too. So as much as possible, the goal was for people to apply only once. So you have people who put in 2 applications, and the system automatically rejects you and throws you out of the system. So we've had some challenges like that for some of the beneficiaries. We also have situations where there was a school who wrote to us and said, and after they had applied and we had given them the opportunity to assess the funds, the last final step was for the owner who had applied to go and sign off. And at that time, we found out, or they wrote to us when we asked them to bring the owner and the founder, that he had died in 2019. So that means they had falsified the documentation. And because now they were being asked to assess the funds, they came back saying, oh, I'm sorry, but he died last year. We are sorry. We couldn't change the name, but we used the name, which is fraud, right? And so as much as possible, that wouldn't happen. Then you have situations, it's also another private school where they came to us and said, my headmaster took my documentation without my knowledge, and so they applied on that behalf. So that is also a situation where we will not give the funds out because it's very fraudulent, and that's the situation we're not looking at. And there's also instances where people don't complete the application. So they start it, they don't complete it, but they assume they are done, and so they expect to have something, but they never complete it. Is it
because it's cumbersome? Is it easy for somebody to go through the process?
I think we tried our best, right? And so it's relative, I would say that, like everything else in the world, it is quite relative. We had the situation where you had to register so that you were given a code and then you complete the application form. And the goal was that the registration allowed us to really assess your business to give you the right application form. So if you were a micro business and I was giving you a documentation or an application form for someone who was a medium business, that would not help you, right? So as much as possible, the whole process or the entire process was necessary for us to get a better understanding of the businesses and the work they were doing.
I just wanted to ask on the issue you just addressed, the issue with the fraud. Did you have to call police to handle some of the cases,
yes,
for instance?
I think that for us, I mean, you'd be amazed the number of letters we get a day from even the proprietors or the enterprise owners making certain, talking about some of the fraudulent activities. We've had to really bring in national security or BNI in at some point to really take a look at certain situations that have come up. Some people have been arrested in certain regions or districts, because one of the major challenges was there was a lot of people thinking that you had to pay. So in certain situations, in certain districts or towns or markets, people were paying to get access. People were being told that if you pay, I'll take you directly to the CEO. Or if you pay for this, I can take you out of the system because you don't need to pay it back. And all of that is fraudulent. And it's one of the things that I keep hammering and wanting to tell people, that this process is all entirely free. You don't need to pay. So if you've paid to someone, it wasn't because we asked for it.
You don't have middlemen. You don't have people acting as agents.
We don't have middlemen. We don't have people acting as agents. If people have challenges, they can go to our business advisory centers. And the business advisory centers provide support, right? That's what we do throughout the year. So in the districts level, we continue to provide that support. So they can come to us. And even on the districts level, one of the things we did was even fees that Parliament has approved for us to charge, we tried to really hold off doing that so that people will not misinterpret it and wouldn't assume that I'm paying for an application. The process was entirely free. And so we kept hammering that for people to get that idea.
If I operate a tabletop business, am I still qualified to tap into this?
You're a micro business. You know, I think that it's important for us to see, you look at every economy and you look at every economy across the world and you look at your Ghanaian economy and you see what businesses are. You have those who are tabletops, you have those who have kiosks, you have those who have containers, you have those who have shops, you have those who have offices, so it graduates. Now, the goal is, how do we support people to graduate from the tabletop to the next level, right? So a lot of the work we do is trying to graduate these businesses. So because you're on a tabletop does not mean that you do not have access and should not have access, because that is your economy. A lot of your economy is tabletop. It's market women and men. It's the shops, it's the makoles, it's the KJTs. That is your economy. So how do we provide the relief and support for them to grow?
Okay, so what would such a person require to bring along? Because a lot of them don't do the lengthy paperwork.
Exactly. So that's why I mentioned we had two setups. We had a registration process that made us allow what type of business you were. So after the understanding and being clear on that, the next level then was you would get the application process that was for the type of business you were, which was a micro, a small, or a medium. So the micro documentation was not as lengthy and as demanding. I wasn't going to ask a micro person, what is your financial statement or your income statement, right? But I was asking enough questions based on the data we were collecting to make an informed decision, to give us an idea as to what you're doing. And also to realize the importance of having that data, because eventually in the future, we need to figure out what to do with that data, which is how do we use that to build the businesses that we have in Ghana? How do we use that to move the economy forward? So this exercise in its entirety is more than just giving funding. It's about the next level after COVID. What's next? How do we take this data and build a stronger economy, build and support the woman who's on the tabletop? What are her needs? Because through the information she shares, I get an understanding of what her needs are.
But this is also not free.
Yes.
So you also have to figure out how you actually get your money back.
Exactly. So you have to, and I think that it's really important that in the design, we put all of that into, and took that into consideration, that you need to really figure out and think about it. And it's the whole exercise in its entirety is not just showing up and saying, we have funding, here it is. But it's really thinking through what was the reason behind this fund. The reason was COVID-19 pandemic, right? So you give out the funds, then what? How do you collect the funds back so that we can use it to support other businesses in the future, right? Because I don't want us, and I think government especially doesn't want us to look at this as, oh, it's only for today. It's not about only today, it's about tomorrow.
But do the people understand that they have to pay back?
They do. But that is life, right? If people do understand it, we've talked about it. Next week, we would also be doing some engagements with them on financial literacy, the importance of all of this, right? And you would always get in every situation, because even if you look at a bank, they still have NPLs, right? But the goal and the understanding is how do you minimize the NPLs? And as I had mentioned to you, this is not the first time we're doing this. We've done this in the past. We have an existing fund at NBSSI. And over the years, we've worked hard at having really high collection rates. And so the goal and the importance of the work we do, one, through the participating financial institutions, two, because we're on the districts level as an institution, we have access to the people. So we work with them, we engage them, we continuously engage them. So you build a relationship. So collections is not only about it's time to pay, but it also takes into consideration how you're monitoring and evaluating the businesses, how you're providing the needed support to the beneficiary. Then they become a friend, then they become a client, then they become a, how do we grow together as a business?
Let's talk about the private schools, because they've complained a lot. I understand you're giving some money so they can pay salaries.
I think that what we're giving the private schools, at the beginning of the program, we really talked about it, providing support to enterprises, micro, small, and medium enterprises. And truthfully, schools also fall under enterprises because they're businesses. People have taken them as businesses, besides the public schools. So you have those who will take the private school work as a business. So we do, and they applied as well. So people applied for different reasons. Some applied because they wanted to pay salaries, some for other operational costs. Some said they had to maintain, because if people don't use, you still need to maintain your facilities. So there are different supports and needs as well, but majority was for the support of salaries.
How much, what's the highest figure that you've had to give a private school?
I think we've given a private school of upwards of 150,000.
This is one-off, because you can come back and take another facility.
Yes, because I think that what we're doing is a stimulus package, right? And stimulus packages are one-offs. Your goal is that it doesn't become the problem doesn't last forever. So people can pick themselves up. So our intention at the end of the day is, how does this really become a one-off that supports and transforms your business?
And when are they expected to begin the payment?
So we gave a 1-year moratorium, up to 1-year moratorium, because we all didn't know when COVID-19 was going to end. And especially for private schools, since you brought up the sector, was looking at how best we can support them, really, and also in a year moratorium, and then 2-year repayment rate. And that's what we're looking at doing with them. Yes.
Okay. I wanted to give my viewers a little bit of time, so that if somebody had a question, we have to go real quick. So kindly give me a call, 0302-211-69-102, 0302-211-69-102. If you've got a question, you can let us hear it now so it can be addressed. We'll just spend just some 2 minutes on this one. Forgive me. So how many people are in queue right now as we speak?
As I mentioned to you, we had a lot of applications. Some will get it, some will not. We've been able to do 200,000, of which 185,000 are in the micro category, and the rest are in the higher categories, and we're doing more on it. And every day there's a disbursement process, so we're pushing that as well, so that people will get and benefit as much as possible. We've had a very good engagement with a lot of the associations in bringing them to the table and other people as to how best it is that we make this get the mileage. The funds get the mileage that they really need and have. And the importance of the mileage is because, as I mentioned, this is a fund to provide sustainability at a time like this, and not for us as businesses to look at expansionary models, you know. So there are people who are saying, I want to expand my business, I want to expand my school. And one of the things we said, this was not the time for us to fund you for that, because we wanted to relieve you of your challenges. So going forward, we'll bring on board other funds that would provide the progress that you need, that will provide the support that you need, that will build you, which is all in alignment with government's CARES project that the Minister of Finance brought up, which was really looking at resilience, recovery, forward movement. How do we support the economy to go forward? And really, the backbone of it is the micro, small, and medium enterprises.
All right, let's just go to the phone lines. Inusa is calling from WA. Good morning, Inusa.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Let's hear your question.
Yeah, I have 2 questions for the CEO of NVSSI.
Yes, let's hear it.
Concern. During the process of filling the forms, you will realize that some were not having the TIN numbers. They'll pick their friends' TIN numbers and use it. So, first, that question is it allowed?
Okay.
That's one. Yes, and after picking and you should give the process, what are the conditions that before one could apply? That is the question number 2.
Okay. Please, are you clear?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Inusa.
So I think it's important that it's a very important question, because you have in the system, you asked me what would make someone not qualify. And it's fraudulent to use your friend's TIN number, because that is not your identity. And so in the system, we designed the system in a way that the first step is immediately you put your ID number, it pops up with your name because we had your data. Then if you put your TIN number, it also popped up with your name. So if it didn't reconcile, then you never completed, or it got rejected automatically.
Okay.
So you will not be paid.
So you can use somebody else's
Yes.
SIN.
The other challenge what it takes me to is that people were also using other people's Momo numbers. So for those who we had said we were going to pay through mobile money, right? Some had different names from theirs. And that is a huge chunk of our payments. And so you realize that in making payments, about 30,000 of the beneficiaries we've made payments to, 30,000 of them have wrong mobile numbers, mobile money numbers. And I can't pay someone who has a different name from the name that applied because it would go against me. So you see that some people say, I have applied, I haven't received, because I have 30,000 people who put in the wrong mobile numbers, and so in view of that, could not even access the fund.
Okay. And then how long does it take if I apply today? If I start the process, how long would it take?
The application is over.
Oh.
Yes. So we closed the application in June, and that's what we said. So, so that question as in that.
So you're still processing people who have applied?
Yes.
Okay.
For payment.
And that's not over. So if you've applied and you haven't received, it's not over.
Rest assured, we're still working.
But if you bounce me, will you tell me?
Oh, of course we'll tell you.
Okay.
We will let you know.
Okay. All right. Well, we have to leave the conversation here. We wait to see what you come up with tomorrow, and then we can pick up from there.
Definitely.
All right. Really grateful for your time.
Thank you very much.